The following podcast is a next level production.
Welcome to Wilhelm. I am your host, Ben Beck, and this episode, we're diving a bit into our romantic sides. We're practically on the cusp of Valentine's Day, so what better time to talk about some romantic couples? I feel weird saying this because my co-host is a guy, but, you know, it is what it is, inclusivity.
Right.
That's right. This week, we are revealing and breaking out our top 5 favorite television couples. And with that, I bring on my co-host, who you've already heard. He's one of the hosts of the Infinite Taylorverse Podcast. Welcome back to Wilhelm, my friend Billie Taylor.
What's up, everyone? Thanks for having me on.
I had you when I posted about this one, you spoke up and you said like you were available to record, and I was like, oh, that's great. And then I felt a little awkward. I'm like, we're talking Valentine's Day. We're talking couples. And I wanted to have like another female host on because I've had a couple already. And I wanted to do like maybe a male and a female to kind of get different perspectives on who favorite TV couples are. And unfortunately, I couldn't find anybody on the female side to come on who was available. Rather. But then I think it was even earlier today. We're recording this the day before you're going to be hearing it. You told me a little story about you and your wife that made me so much more comfortable about having you on as a guest for this one, because I'll let you tell the story, but in essence, you and your wife do kind of have like a TV couple romance story.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. So, okay, I'll try to make a long story short. I'm from a small southern town in Missouri. And when I was about 12, my wife's family moved to the area. And I'm in a roundabout way met her family. We just knew each other at that point. We just knew each other. When I was around 14, we became buddies. I didn't really think of it anything beyond that. We just hung out. I remember her parents were having a house built, and a bunch of us like teenagers from the area went over to like help paint this brand new house. And I remember painting the porch, and just she and I were together and like getting to know each other. And this friendship was just blooming, I guess. I don't know what other word to say, but it was nothing more than just really, really good friends. Fast forward to when I'm about 16, I'm a junior in high school, and we're on this trip out of town. And all I remember is at the end of this trip, we were several hours away from home on a bus, and I see out the window a different boy from a different school gave her this great big hug, and it did not sit right with me. And I literally lost sleep. It was super weird because she was not that to me at that point. And the very next day, I made a point to tell her, I'm like, look, I'm pretty sure I have really strong feelings for you. And basically she said, well, it's about time you said something. And I was 16, and right now I'm a 36-year-old man, and we've literally been a couple since that day when I was 16 that I told her I had feelings for her. Fast forward to 2008, I asked her to marry me. Fast forward to 2009, we got married. Between then and now, we have 4 kids, and we still love each other. And the crazy part is we still like each other.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, you look at couples nowadays, and that's a very important thing. Like you said, couples will always, for the most part, couples will always love each other, but it's a matter, do you still like each other?
Yeah.
I follow, you and I have been friends for a little bit of time now. I follow you on social media, and I follow like your TikToks and stuff like that, which we talked about. And you can just tell like you and your family are very loving, and you all have fun.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of fun around here.
And in itself, the story, like you said, meeting at 16 and fast forward to 20 years later, still together, still enjoying life together, kids, family, you guys are in essence your own little like TV show love story. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, the 19th of February will mark 20 years. So I like February, but not because of Valentine's Day, but because of 5 days after Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's awesome. No, I appreciate you sharing the story a little bit too.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, that being said, what do you say we jump into this?
Let's do it.
All right. So, any new listeners out there, just in case you don't know, or if you're a listener and you just need to be reminded, every episode, format of the show is neither Billy nor myself have revealed any of our selections for our top 5 lists to each other, as not to influence each other's choices. So at this point, I don't know any of Billy's. He doesn't know any of mine. I'm going to forgive the spoiler, the spoiler warning this time. Last episode, we didn't do it because it was Saturday morning cartoons. There really wasn't anything to spoil. This week, the only thing that might be spoiled is if you're just starting a show and there's 2 characters you're just being introduced to and you don't know they end up a couple at some point. Excuse me. That might be a bit of a spoiler, but other than that, I don't really think there's much to spoil with this conversation. But top 5 favorite television couples, we'll go from 5 to 1, take a break. And then after the break, we're going to do some honorable mentions. But that being said, let's dive into this. This topic, I feel like I say this every episode, but I really mean it with this one. This was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
Super hard.
There's so many great television couples out there, and to try and put them in order is just, there are some that are in my honorable mentions that I feel like should be in my top 5.
Same here.
And I don't know. We'll see. But let's dive into it. Starting with number 5, what have you got?
Okay, before we started recording, we talked about how it's funny that pre-pandemic era, had we asked ourselves the same question, the answer might have been a little different. And my family, we've mentioned I've got kids and my wife, and just the past couple years, we've discovered a few shows that we didn't really watch pre-pandemic, but because we had all that time, we watched a few things. And as a dad, I saw a handful more animated things that I may have seen in the past.
All right.
And this one might be kind of obscure, but as I was thinking about it, I'm like, I've got to put this on the list because this show became something very special to me and my family. And I didn't even check it out before the pandemic. So, okay, the show is Steven Universe.
I've never seen it, so this is new.
And yeah, again, really out there. And the couple is Steven and Connie, the love interest for Steven in that series.
All right. What's funny too is I'm looking at my list, and everyone on my list is live action. I don't have any animated, and that's a good point. Like, I mean, you look at like Homer and Marge, or or Peter and Lois, and yeah, there are a lot of great animated couples out there too. I didn't really think to even include animated couples, and Steven Universe is a show that I know is incredibly popular, and I just never got around to it.
Yeah, it's funny because it has that kind of that newer Cartoon Network animation style, so I never really gave it a chance. I'm becoming an old fuddy-duddy, I guess. But my kids watched it. They wanted to watch it, and the whole thing was on HBO Max. And we played the first few episodes, and it still at that point was kind of kiddish and goofy, and that kind of sticks around a little bit throughout. But I kept catching it with my kids, and as the season progressed, the show is super deep, and it's super all about inclusiveness and friendship and love. And he has this best friend, and long story short, and spoilers, I feel bad you haven't seen the show, but
it's fine.
Part of the show is these creatures called the crystal gems from another planet. They have these powers. Well, Steven is half crystal gem, half human. And this girl, Connie, like their friendship just develops so much that he and her fuse into this new being called Stevani. Wait, okay, this sounds so silly and crazy, but that's how much they cared for each other, that they were the first 2 humans in history to be able to do this. And then it's more of a will they, won't they, are they just friends, whatever. And then by the series finale, they're a thing. And again, like, I didn't even watch the show, or I wouldn't have watched the show if it wasn't for my kids. And then I got super sucked in, and it just, the innocent childhood love that finally comes together towards the end. And then there's a movie, and then there's a sequel series where Steven's older and there's still a thing. And I don't know. I just thinking back to me as a kid falling for the girl I fell for at such a young age. I really liked watching that part of the series, even if that part was left out, it would have still been an amazing series. But it's the whole, like, does she like me? Does she not like me? Are we just friends? I think I love you. Yeah. And maybe that's such a silly choice, but that is my number 5, Steven and Connie.
I don't think that's a silly choice at all. And I haven't really said this that much on the podcast. We've done this is the 28th episode of the podcast, and I don't really think this is something I mentioned, but one of the reasons why I do this top 5 format and I bring on my host to do that is because everything is a matter of opinion. And I never, not once on this podcast have I or will I ever criticize anybody of a choice that they make, because it's all a matter of opinion. And that's why I love doing the podcast, is because I love the fact that out of 28 episodes of this podcast so far, I think only once have I ever had the same selection in the same spot of the top 5. Every other time it's something different. So like Steven Universe you might say it might seem like a little bit of a silly choice, but I don't think that's really, again, it's something that resonates with you.
Yep.
And I feel like that's the best reason to even have it in 5.
Yep. And even up until right before we jumped into this together, I was still switching in and out honorable mentions. And that at the last second, I'm like, nope, I have to put that in there.
Yeah. And that's, it's one of those instinctive ones that you're like, yep, this has to go in.
Yep.
My numbers 5 through 2, like the number of times they switched in just preparing for this podcast is ridiculous. My number 1 was my number 1. Like,
same.
I was like, nope, this is number 1. No doubt in my mind. This is my number 1 favorite TV couple.
Oh yeah. As soon as we confirmed I was going to be on here with you, so was mine. It was locked.
No, that's it. Again, I've never seen Steven Universe, but I will say that's a good choice just because of the reasons why that was your number 5.
Yep.
So for my number 5, I'm going back to a show from the 90s that I was very late to the game. I didn't watch the show until it was over. I actually didn't watch the show for the first time until maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I had seen a handful of episodes when it was still airing, but I never got as deep into it as everybody else did. And then, I heard all these people talk about all this love for the show. And I'm like, all right, maybe I should actually give the show a legit shot. And I did, like I said, just a couple years ago. And I understand now why so many people love this couple. My number 5 is Corey and Topanga from Boy Meets World.
Nice.
It's just in rewatching the show again, I went back and I watched the show as an adult for the first time. So I'm seeing these middle school, high school kids and this romance but in between them, as well as everything else that's going on in their lives. And like, I'm a 30-year-old, I'm in my 30s at the time watching the show, and it resonates with me because I'm thinking, God, I wish I had this when I was in high school. Like, this is what I wish I had. I mean, I think every boy had his Topanga. Yep. When they were younger. You were fortunate enough to marry your Topanga.
Yeah.
To be with your Topanga and marry your Topanga. Not every other kid has that opportunity. So that is something that I think like kind of stuck out with me, is like, well, like, where's my Topanga? Like, I never had an opportunity with my Topanga. Somebody else does. So, but yeah, it's Corey and Topanga is one with me that was in and out of my top 5 and honorable mentions a number of times developing this. So I finally realized, I'm like, no, they got to go in the top 5. So that's why they're my number 5.
Nice. Solid choice.
Thank you. Number 4 on your list.
Okay. Number 4. This comes from a much newer show than the other things on my list, but I'm going to go with Jack and Rebecca from This Is Us.
I don't watch This Is Us.
Oh man.
I know I'm in the minority because the show is huge.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of a lot of people that are in that show.
Yep.
Milo and Ventimiglia is in that show. I can't. Names are blank. I don't think is Justin Hartley in This Is Us too. Okay.
Milo's Jack. Mandy Moore is Rebecca.
Mhm.
Justin Hartley is their son Kevin in the grown up time period.
Okay.
The show is great. I'm not usually a drama watcher. My wife loves all that kind of stuff, and I don't normally get sucked in. But this one, I just happened to watch the first episode when it premiered because she was really wanting to watch it, and we sat down and watched it, and it just almost every episode, but definitely that first episode has one of those twist endings that you do not see coming, and that alone shocked and hooked me from that point forward. And then as you watch it, watching their love story progress from just this poor kid with kind of an abusive home and this rich girl from a rich home, and maybe things aren't so great as they seem, but two different worlds come together. They love each other very much, beat all the odds. And then obviously there's like a tragedy, spoiler alert, and all that stuff. But the time period that we get to see each episode of those two together, just, again, it's something about one of those against all the odds, no matter what anyone else thought, they made it. And that kind of has resonance with me.
I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler to anybody who's listening and hasn't watched it yet. But I think from what I understand about the show, isn't the big thing at the end, like the big twist at the end of that first episode, is that Jack dies? Or is that not, or is that not the twist at the end of the episode?
I mean, the whole series is several time periods.
Mm-hmm.
There's like pre-having kids, there's little kids, there's teenage kids, there's the kids are grown-ups. Like, we do learn that he's gone early on. And we also learn like the way they have an adopted baby and just how their baby, they had triplets, but one of them died, but that baby was literally left on the doorstep of the hospital or of a fire station and was brought to the hospital, and they took him, and all of that reveal in the first episode. And I'm pretty sure you're right, because it's been 6 years now. I think that was the twist of the first one. I think there's because if I remember correctly, there's a thing that goes on that people know that Jack dies at some point, but it's never revealed how he dies or when he died. You just know that in one time period and there, and the other time period he's not. Somewhere in between, Jack died, and it was always the big mystery how did it happen. And then it was finally revealed it had to do something with like a malfunctioning crock pot or something. Yes. But I did see all the posts about it and everything. So it's been, unfortunately, it's been kind of spoiled for me already, which is, I think, another reason why I haven't jumped into the show. Yeah. Because I'm like, the drama's kind of been spoiled already. Yep. But I do hear great things about the show. And yeah, it's totally worth the watch.
And I like Mandy Moore. I like Milo Ventimiglia. So yeah, I guess that's another reason. That's a good show. A good choice. My number 4, I am going right to one of probably my top 5 favorite shows of all time, which will probably eventually be an episode of Wilhelm down the road. I went with Sarah Walker and Chuck Bartowski from Chuck.
Oh, nice. That's a great choice.
That Chuck is still to this day a show that I absolutely adore. And, Chuck and Sarah was such an interesting dynamic because, for anybody who's unfamiliar with the show, Chuck is a basically spy in training against his will in the beginning of the series. Sarah Walker is his CIA operative who's been assigned to him. She's his handler. Of course, he ends up falling in love with her. There's a little bit of a will they, won't they in the early on in the series. And then eventually when they do get together, there's, they end up together. They're a happy couple. They end up getting married. They're spies together, but there's such a and again, spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen the series, there's such a tragic yet still hopeful ending to that couple. I don't know if you've seen the show before.
Yes.
So you're familiar, like Sarah ends up losing her memory and by the end of the series and doesn't remember that her and Chuck were ever together. But there's that scene on the beach at the end where she tells Chuck to tell her a story, and the story he tells is how they met and how they're together and everything they went through. And it's like even though it ends in a tragic way, there's still glimmers of hope for the two of them. Yep. And I love that open-endedness to the story. And Zach Levi and Yvonne Strahovski are just amazing in those roles.
Yes.
Besides the fact that Chuck was just an amazing series that I could not wait to watch every week when it aired. And I know he's trying to do like movie versions of Chuck. He's trying to do movies like Chuck movies, but he's just waiting until everybody's schedule frees up.
Yeah.
Because, he's doing Shazam and she's doing, Handmaid's Tale, and they're all working on other projects. They're just waiting for the time that them and Adam Baldwin and Scott Grimes, like all of them can kind of come together. Or Scott Gomez, not Scott Grimes. Scott Grimes is from the Orville. So I'm still waiting for the day that we get more Chuck to see where this couple has ended up. But man, that relationship was one I always rooted for and was so happy when it happened, and just following them that when I was going through all these couples, all of a sudden Chuck popped into my head. I was like, oh God, that's got to be on my list. Has to be.
Yeah, that's a great one. My wife and I loved that. And I've been looking for an excuse to rewatch it. And if they come out with something new, that's absolutely going to make me rewatch the whole thing to prep for it.
I don't make excuses. I just do it.
Yeah.
I think like every 3 or 4 years I'll go through and I'll rewatch Chuck.
Yeah.
Because I mean, just like the story alone and the humor in the show and the action in the show is great. But there's guest stars galore throughout the entire run of the show. I mean, you look at, I know we're getting off topic a little bit, but like Linda Hamilton was his mom and Scott Bakula was his father. And there's, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Timothy Dalton and Lauren Cohan for The Walking. There's so many people who were on that show. And I love it. That takes us into our top 3. So number 3, what you got?
Hey, for me, my number 3 comes from a wonderful comedy sitcom, How I Met Your Mother, and it is Marshall and Lily.
Has to be in there. They're in my honorable mentions.
Yeah, it's funny how I think each couple I've picked resonates with me at one different point in my life or another for different reasons. And Marshall and Lily, they were that, ride or die couple that when everyone else was playing the dating scene and living that single life, they were just together. And as I've mentioned about me and my wife, we've just been a thing for so long, while all of our other friends were discovering their love and all that things. We were the couple already. So we were always the couple when everyone else was not necessarily the couple, or we were married when everyone else was not married. And so like I can relate to Marshall and Lily, their dynamic within their friend group. And yeah, I love all the stories, all the things they go through with, the struggles they went through, the love they share, the tragedies that they've kind of had to help each other through. Like I think of when Marshall's dad died.
Oh my God, that episode that episode, man. Anytime I think of Marshall and Lily, that's always the episode that I go to in my mind, because first off, the writing on that episode was incredibly clever in that it wasn't until maybe a good 5-10 minutes into the episode you realize there's a countdown happening in the background. So by the end of the episode, something is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then when you get to, and it's such a fun dynamic because it's them dealing with like Barney's doppelganger and everything. So there's like comedic tones and you're like, well, what is this counting down to? And then it counts down to a tragedy.
Yep.
And I think when Lily tells Marshall his dad died, I think I break every time I watch that episode. I'm getting choked up now just talking about it.
I'm same here listening.
And what even gets me even more, and I'm sorry I jumped in on your story as to why. When you look at behind the scenes stuff about that, they didn't tell him. They didn't tell Jason Segel that's what was happening. in the story.
Yeah.
So when Allison Hannigan tells him your dad died, that's the first he heard of it, that they were killing off his father. So the emotion that he had in that scene was real.
Yeah.
Which makes it even so much more dramatic.
Oh, I know.
And hard to watch.
Yep. But yeah, that's my solid number 3. It was almost number 2, but it's number 3.
No, and I totally get it. They are just one of those couples. You're right. They're ride or die. They had their troubles, but they were always the couple that when everybody else was living the single life, like you said, like Robin or Ted or Barney or whoever, they were always each other's rock.
Yep.
And it was just a great thing to watch. I still watch that show every once in a while. I'll still just throw on a random episode and just start watching.
Yep. Same here. So, little side note, we started watching the new How I Met Your Father, and it's so far it hasn't sucked me in the way that the original has, but I'm still giving it a chance.
I refuse to watch it.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the cast. I think Hilary Duff is incredibly talented. I think Josh Peck is talented. I don't want to tarnish How I Met Your Mother by seeing it retold in a different way. I mean, it's bad enough that How I Met Your Mother tarnished How I Met Your Mother with that horrible ending that they gave us.
Yes.
The last season was already a stretch, and then when you reveal that he ends up with Robin anyway, spoiler, why did you do this?
Right.
You ruined it. So even when I rewatch How I Met Your Mother, I refuse to watch anything from the last season.
Understandable.
Or at least the second half of the last season. Because the first half did have some great moments.
Yep.
Oh God, what's the name of the thing that Lily does at the bar? At any time her drink is empty, the bartender has to come. Thank you, Linus.
Yeah.
But it's called something, and I can't remember what it was called.
I'm drawing a blank too, but I know what you're talking about.
But I mean, there was more slaps giving in that there in the end in the last season. I just did not like the way the series wrapped.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm kind of like, no, I have no interest. And I think they already tried How I Met Your Father, and it didn't work. So now Hulu is trying it again, just with different actors and different writers.
Gotcha.
I'm like, I have no interest. I have no interest.
Other than one very small but kind of cool connection at the very end of the first episode, it's completely unrelated to the original. That's
just it. Like, I don't think it's new characters telling the same story just in a different way, and I'm like, that doesn't interest me. That doesn't interest me. So for my number 3, I went to a show that had a number of amazing couples, and I had to choose one.
Yeah,
because I couldn't go through and list all of them, but I'm going to list a couple of the other couples, and you're going to know exactly what show I'm talking about just by doing this. But you have Jack and Kate. You have Charlie and Claire. Mm-hmm. You've got Sawyer and Juliet, which was a strong contender because that couple is, God, I loved that couple so much. But my number 3, I went with Jin and Sun from Lost.
Nice.
They are a couple who, when you look at every other couple on that show, how far they progressed as a couple, miles and leaps ahead further than any other couple on that show.
Yep.
Kate and Jack were always like confusing, will they, won't they, but in a tragic kind of way, like I have a hero complex and I'm a criminal kind of way. Claire and Charlie were very innocent, but didn't get the time they needed because of Charlie's unfortunate, happenstance.
Right.
Juliet,
not Penny's boat.
Oh God, still gets me. Juliet and Sawyer were fantastic. It was so great seeing some happiness come to Sawyer. But Jin and Sun, man, like you look at where they came from. They started as a couple that Sun was trying to escape Jin because he was abusive. He was under the thumb of her father in the work that he did, like as like a enforcer for like a mob enforcer. And then they get stranded on this island and he becomes loving, defensive, protective, but not like in an overzealous kind of way. Like he becomes very protective. He learns English for her because she speaks English as does everybody else. And then like they end up having a baby together. And then it's what makes their love story even more tragic than Chuck and Sarah, because there's a glimmer of hope for the two of them. There is no hope for Jin and Sun, because not only does Jin never get to meet their daughter because he never gets off the island, but when Sun leaves their daughter behind to come back to the island to rescue Jin, they never make it home because they both die on the island. And that's so tragic. But at the same time, they die holding hands. Like Jin had every opportunity to get out, but goes back to try and save Sun. And when he realizes that they're not going to make it out, he stays behind with her, and they die together, which, while tragic, is still romantic in its own sense.
Yeah.
And like they stand out to me as the strongest couple from that show, from Lost.
Yeah. Man, you are making me want to go back and watch Chuck and Lost.
That's the power of Wilhelm, my friend. There's so many things I have on a list of stuff I need to watch for the first time and stuff that I need to go back and rewatch. And it's all because of this podcast.
Yep.
Think of how bad it is for you right now. You're on one episode. This being your second. I do this every other week.
Yeah.
And my list just keeps getting longer and longer and longer.
Yes.
I'm never going to get to everything. But that's one of the reasons why I do this podcast.
And that's how I feel about, I'm never going to get to everything without adding all the old shows that I love and want to go back to.
Yeah. There's so many shows that I want to rewatch, and I most likely never will, at least not for a while.
Yeah.
Like even right now with the Olympics being on, I love the Olympics. So now I'm watching Olympic stuff. I'm still not rewatching stuff that I could during this time because everything else is on break.
Yep.
So because the Olympics are on, but no, I'm watching the Olympics. So
yep.
It is what it is. And Lost is a great series to go back to. I know it's contentious between people because people didn't like the ending, and I'm of the mind. And don't worry, there will be a Wilhelm episode on Lost down the road. And it will be debating the ending of that series, because there's some people that hated the ending of that series, and there are some people that loved the ending of that series. I fall on the loved the ending of that series. And my opinion is that you hated it, you didn't understand it.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah. I feel the same way. If
you hated the way that show ended, you simply did not understand it.
Yeah, I have friends that still argue about what they thought was going on. And I'm like, nope, you're wrong.
It's like, oh no, like I hated the ending because they were really dead the whole time, even though they said that's not what it was going to be. No, they weren't.
They were not.
Christian Shepherd, we're getting off topic.
Yes.
Christian Shepherd says everything that happened on the island was real. Like he says it. And you still believe they were dead the whole time. Like, no, you didn't understand the ending.
Exactly.
Not saying you're stupid, you just didn't understand it.
Yep.
It is what it is. All right. Back to topic.
Okay.
Number 2 on your list.
Okay, number 2. Now this one doesn't resonate with me because of my personal relationship with the person I love, but it resonates with me because of the time period that I watched it.
Okay.
So this early 90s, I've always been a superhero fan, and my most favorite character of all time, anyone that listens to like my podcast knows this, is Superman.
Okay. I know where you're going.
So for me, it's Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, and the couple being Lois and Clark.
Oh, see, that's interesting because I also have Lois and Clark in my honorable mentions, but mine is from Smallville.
Right? That's in my honorable mentions as well.
Okay.
Because the character means so much to me.
Yeah.
But I think my formative years, I I was around 10 probably watching this. And like, we do not need to get too deep, but home life was not swell growing up. And
I relate.
And it was just, once it got past the will they won't they and they became a thing, I saw, like, I wasn't seeing this from the adults in my life at home, and I saw like a loving adult couple. So already the show had me because of its action and the stuff that a 10-year-old boy would love, but I oddly loved how much they loved each other as a kid because I just wasn't seeing it at home. And I know that's maybe that's silly, but I loved their relationship, and I hated how it ended so abruptly. What was the series finale? They had a kid, and and then boom, that's the end of the series forever. So I just really loved that. I watched it because of the character, but I stayed just for what it was, what it became.
No, and yeah, and I absolutely get that. Like I said, I have Clark and Lois in my honorable mentions too, but I have them from the Smallville phase. And when you've looked back at it too, you have Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, which I'm actually really excited because even though I do not agree with him politically, I'm still a fan of Dean Cain because of Lois and Clark, and I'm actually working with Dean next month at Fandemic.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to get to meet him and work with him. So I'll get to talk to him hopefully a little bit about Lois and Clark and coming into Supergirl and, as being Jeremiah Danvers. And again, don't agree with him politically, but doesn't mean I'm not a fan of his work.
That's where I stand too. I live in Kansas, middle of nowhere. And
no wonder you like Superman.
Right. There's a small town called Hutchinson, Kansas, and the mayor of Hutchinson made a proclamation that once a year in the summer, the town is called Smallville, Kansas.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they have a big Smallville convention. And one year, this is about a 3-hour drive from where I live. And one year, Dean Cain was one of the guests, and it happened to fall on my birthday. And my wife and kids, we all drove down there, and I got to stand in line and meet Superman from my childhood. And it was really cool because my son at the time was about 3 or 4, and we had just finished as a family watching that whole series on DVD. Mm-hmm. And my little boy was just jaw dropped that right there was Superman. And I remember he just we were almost next. There were about 2 or 3 people ahead of us, and he kept trying to get away because he wanted to go to him so bad. I had to hold him until it was our turn. And then finally, when it was our turn, it's like my little 3-year-old blurted out, "Superman, it's my dad's birthday." And Dean Cain was like, "What? It's your dad's birthday?" Playing like a kind person would play along with a little kid.
Yeah.
And he suddenly gets the whole crowd to start singing happy birthday to me. So I will never forget the day that Superman sung me happy birthday on my birthday.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah. Again, I'm really excited to meet him and get to talk to him. And I'm with you. I grew up on Superman. I still love Superman to this day. I mean, Superman and Lois is, again, there's the train going off the track.
Yeah.
People who listen to this podcast know this happens all the time.
Yeah.
Superman and Lois, to me, CW does not deserve a show that good.
Yeah. As far as CW, it's top tier. The CW does not Superman and Lois is too good for the CW. It's way too good for the CW. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I love some of the CW stuff, but you are absolutely right.
It's because, you look at, you have, and again, it goes to just the dynamic of, you can simply, I think it's to a point where you can say Clark and Lois, and it doesn't really matter which version of it that we're getting. It fits because you're right. There was the loving couple between Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. We had the will they, won't they beginnings of their relationship with Tom Welling and Erica Dorrance. And then now in Superman and Lois, we have Tyler Hoechlin and Elizabeth Tulloch playing the already married with kids, dealing with real life of family dynamic. And in all 3 instances that we got Clark and Lois, they are an amazing couple.
Yep.
Even in comic books, they are still an amazing couple.
Oh yeah.
So I think it fits, whether it's Lois and Clark or Smallville or even Superman and Lois. I think it fits no matter which way you look at it.
Yep. It's that relationship stands the test of time.
Yeah, it really does. All right. My number 2. I think this is one that most people would probably have in their top 5, to be completely honest with you. I think it's a quintessential couple when you look at them. My number 2, Jim Halpert and Pam Beesly from The Office. I mean,
yep.
How can you not mention Jim and Pam? You talk about those comfort shows that we went to during the pandemic. Like, I was already an Office fan before the pandemic, but once the pandemic started and when we were at home, I had 3 comfort shows. I had The Office, I had Parks and Rec. I had 4 comfort shows. I had The Office, Parks and Rec, Community, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Those are the 4 shows that were almost on a constant repetitive repeat.
Yep.
They were on shuffle. So it would just, my playlist would literally just shuffle between episodes of those 4 shows. So I got to know Jim and Pam even more. Even though I had already seen everything with them, I got to kind of live with that couple a little bit more. And I grew to love Jim and Pam even more. And, because they're a relationship where there was a little bit of will they, won't they, but The Office wasn't formatted around their relationship. Their relationship was just part of the series. And even when they got together, they had their issues, but they dealt with them as hard as they may have been. They were as close to, I think, a real life couple as I think many shows could get.
Yes.
And to this day, that's I could not not put them in my top 5.
Yep. They were definitely in my honorable mentions. And it's funny you mentioned comfort shows during the pandemic. During the grown-up time in the evening, it was The Office or Schitt's Creek at our house. And during the day with kids, it was Steven Universe and Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah. And, it's just comfort shows are where you go. And I still find myself turning to those comfort shows.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. Big Bang Theory is one of those comfort shows for me now, too.
Oh, yes.
That's one of the ones that's in constant rotation with everything else.
Oh, yeah.
That and Modern Family is in there now, too.
Yes.
So, all right. That brings us to our number 1 choice for our top 5 favorite television couples. Sir, what do you have for your number 1?
Okay, it's funny. I had to hold my tongue a bit. My number 1 is Corey and Topanga from Boy Meets World.
All right.
I had to hold my tongue when you said it. I wanted to say, "Oh, that's on my list," but I didn't say it.
I appreciate the fact that you did.
Yeah, that again. This one goes back to resonating with me, finding that love at such a young age, and just going through is this going to last? Why won't it last? Of course it's going to last. And I don't know, just being friends with others, not going through that. And it's just, and I think I mentioned beforehand, I did not say the show, but when I told you a little bit about our story, which made you feel a little better about me being your male co-host for the evening, that kids at high school referred, to me, they would refer to it, it's oh, it's Corey and Topanga, just kind of being silly. But yeah, that show, I've watched it through. Obviously, I watched it on TGIF when it was new as a littler kid, and I watched it in reruns in high school, and I watched it all the time in college. And my oldest daughter's 10 now, and she's kind of started watching it, and it's just one of those amazing shows. The cast is great. The stories, what's the word I'm looking for? The moral of the story, the point they try to run through almost every episode about family, friendship, love, just real life stuff. The whole show resonates with me, but them as a couple have a special place in my heart. And I can't think of TV romance without thinking of Corey and Topanga. So they're my number 1 list on the list.
And you know what? I'm very skeptical anytime they do reboots of shows. Like we already talked about How I Met Your Father and such.
Yeah.
So when the idea of Girl Meets World came up, and then I heard what it was, that it was Corey and Topanga and their daughter. And I was like, okay, like that's got a lot of promise. I really like Boy Meets World. I'm going to give this a shot. And then to hear it didn't do too well.
Yeah.
At all. Because I think the issue with that show, and this is where I fall with it too, is I think a lot of people thought of it less of Corey and Topanga's, the life journey of Corey and Topanga's daughter, and more of, oh, we get to see more of Corey and Topanga.
Yeah.
And that's not the approach the show took.
Yeah.
And I think that ultimately is where the show failed.
I agree. And Boy Meets World, when you go back, all ages could watch that show and enjoy it and get something completely different out of it. And watching Girl Meets World with my kids, they watched Girl Meets World before Boy Meets World. It's very driven towards kids compared to the original. Mm-hmm. And I think you're right. The appeal of seeing those characters we love made it enjoyable. And then you only really see them every now and again. So the people that would have been on board maybe dropped off because it wasn't really about what they thought it was going to be about. And it was still enjoyable, but it was definitely more of a for kids series.
Yeah, exactly. It was different. It was definitely a different feel. I think the bringing in Corey and Topanga was a way to appeal to the people who were fans of Boy Meets World, but then it was literally just a tease to bring them in, and then you didn't really offer them anything once they were there.
Yeah.
And I think, again, that's where the show just didn't find the ground that it should have found to keep going. So, but no, I'm glad you held your tongue.
Yeah.
On that one. I'm sure it was difficult.
Yep.
So, but that brings me to my number one. And this is oftentimes when I do this podcast and I'm listing my top 5, I say a lot that this was very difficult. I can't, that my choices switched so many times. More often than not, though, my number one is always solid. And that was absolutely the case for this one, as I know it was for you too, for Corey and Topanga.
Yep.
My number one, without a doubt, you mentioned the show earlier, are David and Patrick from Schitt's Creek.
Yes, they are on my honorable mentions.
Talk about a couple that made me cry.
Right.
And like, I'm not just talking about sad tears. I'm talking about happy tears. Like, this couple got me so many times purely on the love between these two characters.
Yep.
And I'm sorry if you're a listener and you're not into inclusivity and everything, but man, if more couples were like David and Patrick, this world would be a so much better place.
Yeah. You couldn't pick two different people
that come
put aside
together.
Their differences. Yeah.
Yes. Like when Patrick sings to David and then David does it later in return, and their wedding, like how they wrapped up the series with like again, no couple in television history has made me cry more happy tears than these two guys, than these two men, than this couple. There was no doubt in my mind when I was putting together my list that David and Patrick were my number one.
Yep.
No doubt in my mind. And they are, Schitt's Creek was one of those shows that, like, I heard the hype, everybody was into it, everybody was loving it, and I didn't start it until it was over.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't get into it until it was over, because by the time everybody was like pressuring me to watch, like, oh, you need to watch it. I'm like, you know what? Most of the time when people are pressuring me this much, I don't find that great of an interest into it as you do, because it's overhyped. And then when I finally decided, I'm like, all right, the last season's airing. When the last season ends, I will start it and I will watch it. And man, I got sucked in so hard to that show and loved every episode that I watched of that show.
Yep.
And David and Patrick were just such a bright, shining light in that series that they're amazing. It's an amazing couple.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. That show went 6 seasons, right?
6 seasons. Yes.
So I think around season 4, my wife and I popped one on. It was still on Netflix. And I had trouble watching it because of the whole, oh no, we're rich and my life is hard. Like that kind of made me not watch anymore for a little while. And then finally I was like, all the hype, I'm going to watch it. And I got into it. I'm like, oh yeah, it's not really about that. It's about these people, their life changes away from that. And after about 3 or 4 episodes and actually giving it a solid chance, I'm like, this is in my top 5 favorite shows of all time now.
Yeah. I remember, like, I was with you. Like, I started watching it and I got a couple episodes and I'm like, all right, this show is funny. Like, there's a lot of wit to it. It's clever. Like, I get it. It's not necessarily about this family, but, you know, I kind of get where it's going. And then I got more and more sucked into it. But I remember the exact moment I realized, the exact episode I realized that this show is probably one of my favorite shows of all time. And that is the season 2 finale, where they are out to dinner with their rich friends from out of town. And the shits are with them. And they are starting kind of talking down to them. And it's when they stand up and say, like, no, they were there for us when you weren't. Like, when they stood up for Roland and his wife and everything. And then they go to that barn party and they're all together dancing as a family.
Yep.
I remember watching the end of that episode and getting to the end of the episode and thinking, holy shit, this show is amazing.
Yeah.
This show is so much more than what I thought it was.
Yep. I feel like that's around the same exact time we started feeling the same way.
Yeah. And from that point on, I was like, yep, I'm invested. I'm invested in these characters. I need to see where this goes.
Yep. And I don't say this often, but I hope at some point we get more.
I do too. I do too. I hope it's not too soon.
Yeah. Give it some time.
Give it a little time. The fact that it like basically swept every award that it was nominated for at the Emmys, its final season. I watched the Emmys that year because it was during quarantine. So like they were on their own in Canada, but seeing Eugene Levy and Dan Levy and Annie Murphy and Catherine O'Hara, like see them all get their awards and how happy they were. And I'm like, you just made me love this show even more.
Yep.
You know, when you have a show where Eugene Levy is the straight man,
yeah,
like, come on, like this show is amazing. But yeah, David and Patrick, favorite TV couple of all time. Very difficult to beat.
Yes.
So maybe one day there will be a couple that beats them. But as of right now, there's none.
Maybe they'll televise the story of my life.
There you go. There you go. Then it'll become my favorite. I've got a new Corey in Topanga.
Yep.
With that said, we got through our top 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little break. We're going to play a little ad. And when we come back, we're going to dive into some honorable mentions. And we have a lot of fan feedback that we're going to read off. A lot of people submitting their picks for some of their favorite couples, which I think is awesome that there's so much feedback. So we're going to take a short break. Stick around, and we will be back in just a few. This episode of Wilhelm is brought to you in part by Entertainment Earth. If you are a fan of pop culture collectibles just like I am, Entertainment Earth is your one-stop shop for everything you need, with toys, collectibles, and apparel from so many franchises like Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Transformers, Back to the Future, one of my favorites, and more, made from manufacturers such as Funko, Lego, Hasbro, and Mattel, just to name a few. I guarantee you will find something that will fill that collectible void, including many things you can't even find in stores. And best of all, Entertainment Earth offers the option to pre-order any of their upcoming new items at no money down, meaning you don't pay until it ships. How awesome is that? So check out their site, do some shopping, and help support Wilhelm by using the link in the show notes of this episode to browse the site. Entertainment Earth, great collectibles at great ease. All right, we are back. And we're going to dive into some honorable mentions of some of our favorite television couples, some of the ones we didn't get to mention that could have made our top 5, but didn't make our top 5. I know, and some of these were really close to making my top 5.
Yep.
As well. Got through a couple of mine already. Got through Clark and Lois, Marshall and Lily, but I have a number of other ones, as I'm sure you do as well. So let's dive into them. What's one of your honorable mentions for favorite TV couples?
Yeah, like you said, we already kind of hit the Smallville Lois and Clark, and we hit Jim and Pam and David and Patrick. Let's see, another one that I could have easily dropped in there because of how they made me feel as a kid would have been Carl and Harriet Winslow from Family Matters.
Yes.
And it goes back to just life was challenging and crazy when I was a little one. So just seeing this solid mom and dad unit and how much they loved each other, no matter what misadventures were happening in the series, it resonated with me. I longed to have that. So like now as a dad, as a husband, so many of these different TV parents kind of modeled what I wanted in my own life as an adult, and they were definitely on that list.
It's funny that you bring that up. The way you mentioned that about something that you modeled yourself after and something that you wanted when you looked at that. My first honorable mention is very similar to the same. I went with Tim and Jill Taylor.
Oh, nice.
From Home Improvement. Home Improvement still to this day is one of my all-time favorite sitcoms. I love it. Richard Karn, who played Al Borland, is actually going to be coming on to Wilhelm shortly, sometime in March, which I'm really looking forward to talking to him. But yeah, Tim and Jill Taylor, man, they were the husband and wife that when I was watching that show, and even when I got older and started rewatching that show, more and more, I saw them as the husband and wife that I wanted my wife and I to be.
Yeah.
Like the couple that was very loving and looked out for each other, but also kind of had fun with each other. Like they poked fun at each other. They pranked each other. When it came to their kids, they were sarcastic with their kids, but they did it in like a loving manner.
Yep.
Like Tim and Jill were, and still to this day would be the kind of husband and wife I would want to be when I get
nice.
So yeah, so they were very close to making my top 5.
Nice.
Very
I like
close.
that.
What's another honorable mention?
Let's see. Man, so many of these came from my formative 90s years. I also put Uncle Jesse and Aunt Becky from Full House.
Full House, yeah.
I just remember as a kid, well, first of all, what boy in the 90s didn't have a crush on Lori Loughlin?
Right? Now, not so much.
Yeah. But
I mean, unless you're into Inmates, it's all right.
Yeah. But I digress.
Yes. Sorry.
No, you're good. I just loved following them. He was that character that had a different girlfriend every episode, and then finally he met her, and then just watching them develop, watching them, again, it came back to the whole, are they even going to make it? This kind of rough guy and this well-to-do girl, and just the way it worked out. The 2-part cliffhanger wedding episode was a crazy one, and I just think back to what that show meant to me as a kid. And again, they had the craziest family dynamic you could think of, a dad, an uncle, and a friend, no mom. But even that crazy dynamic just was so appealing to me as a kid. Mm-hmm. And just following their relationship in that show was fun as a kid, and I just really enjoyed it.
No, that's a good one. I'm going to mention 2 from our next one, only because they come from the same show. But Jake Peralta and Amy Santiago from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But if I'm going to mention couples from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I have to mention Holt and Kevin.
Yeah.
Because they were also another, in their own way, while definitely different, they were in their own way an amazing couple. And when you go into the final season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and you realize like, oh, Kevin and Holt might not make it, like they're having issues, like you didn't root for a couple more than you did Holt and Kevin in the final season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You wanted them to reconcile and get back together. And thankfully they do. But Jake and Amy, man, like that was such a fun ride. because there really wasn't a will they won't they in the beginning. It wasn't until a little bit later on when Jake decides he has feelings for Amy, and then they have feelings for each other, and then they end up together. But like all the fun along the way, like I still to this day, their wedding on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, it's a weird dynamic when you are laughing through tears, because I'm so happy that the two of them are finally getting married. But there was the whole, like, is the wedding going, for anybody who hasn't seen it, I apologize, but there was the whole thing where there was the bomb scare at their original venue and they end up having the wedding outside. And Amy, the whole running joke about how Jake says Amy's butt is a bomb. and then there's that moment at the wedding where she says, well, you were wrong. There is a bomb. And he looks all worried and she's like, it's your butt. Your butt's the bomb. and there is no running. And he just gets this look in his eyes and he starts crying. He's like, I love you so much. And like, it's that silly goofiness to their relationship that I can't help but love them so much. So yeah, Jake and Amy and Holt and Kevin from Brooklyn Nine-Nine are in my honorable mentions.
That's awesome. Jake and Amy were on my honorable mentions as well.
Nice. What's another from your honorable mentions?
Let's see. I also had, let me go down the list here. You mentioned something about Modern Family earlier. I have Mitch and Cam from Modern Family.
Cam are in my honorable mentions as well. I watched Modern Family through like the first 5 or 6 seasons, and then I stopped. And I know it ran for like 11. I am in the process. I started from episode 1, and I'm in the process of rewatching the seasons I've already seen to get to the ones I haven't. And I just know, like earlier today, I just finished season 3.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to jump into season 4. But Phil and Claire are great. But Mitch and Cam, man, I don't think another couple has made me laugh more.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I'm, as a Kansas City guy, Eric Stone Street is from the area. Mm-hmm. So he's kind of a big name around here. And just him being on that show, just because it's him, is awesome. But yeah, them as a couple, they're hilarious. I don't know. They couldn't be two, again, just like earlier, David and Patrick, they couldn't be two more different people, but all their differences make them such a great couple. All the old, farm jokes. Like I grew up in Southern Missouri, so all the jokes Cam has about his life, I get them. They're hilarious. And then, Mitch making fun of them, and I don't know. Their dynamic is amazing.
Yeah, it's a funny story about Eric Stone Street too. I actually went to a show that was Eric Stone Street and Jesse Tyler Ferguson. It was the two of them together doing a stage show.
Oh, nice.
And it was hysterical. And one of the big running jokes between them is the fact that out of the two of them, Cam is the more flamboyantly gay of the two, but Eric Stone Street is completely straight.
Yep.
Like he's straight in real life while Jesse Tyler Ferguson is gay. So it's funny that Cam, who's the more flamboyantly homosexual one on the show, is played by a straight man.
Yep.
But also on that same note, you mentioned how Eric Stone Street is from Kansas State. I had David Koechner on the podcast a couple years ago, who was also from Kansas City. David Koechner, Eric Stone Street, Paul Rudd, Rob Riggle, and I think there's a fifth.
Jason Sudeikis. They do the Big Slick.
Yep. Every year in Kansas. David Koechner actually invited me to Big Slick. He told me, like, you got to pay your way out here. He's like, we're not going to bring you out. He's like, but if you come out, let us know. He's like, and we'll get you access to everything. And unfortunately, I couldn't do it that year. I was going to do it the next, but then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
They just announced they're doing Big Slick in person again this year.
Yeah, in June. So I might actually see if I can get back in touch with Koechner's people to see if that offer still stands. And if it does, you might find me out in Kansas City at Big Slick this year. That would be awesome, because I literally live 20 minutes from where they hold that event. So
do you really?
Yeah.
Well, good. Maybe I'll tell them I need passes for 2.
Hey,
I need access for 2, and you can come with me.
That would be amazing. That'd be cool to meet up.
Yeah, I mean, and everything that Koechner told me about Big Slick, like they do like a softball game and a bowling tournament, and there's stand up, and there's like it's a whole weekend or week-long event.
Yep.
That when he gave me the invite, I was like, oh, like, how could I pass this up? Like, yes, I'll find my own hotel. I'll find my own airfare. That's fine. I'm getting access to one of the biggest events Kansas has.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and get in touch with his people again to see if that offer still stands. And if it does, you might see me out in Kansas this summer for Big Sled.
Amazing. Hey, you know what? I'd even give you a guest room.
Oh, that's right. You don't live far.
Yeah.
Sweet. Might take you up on that too. But that's a good one. Mitch and Cam were on my list as well. I'm going to go with another twofer just because, again, they come from the same show. Ben and Leslie and April and Andy.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec. I don't know how I can choose between the two of them. They're both great in their own way.
Yeah.
Ben and Leslie were just another couple that was it was so happy to see these two people, find love together and find a relationship together. But April and Andy, man, were just so goofy. They ended up getting married after only being together for a month, but yet they stood the test of time and they were still together by the end. And God, they were so funny together. And like, it's like, how do you have two people that are this way? Like, who takes care of the other one? But yet they made it.
Yeah.
And they were just fun to watch.
That show was during a weird, busy time of my life, and my wife has seen the whole series, and I've only seen kind of here and there episodes. That is when I need to go back and just watch the whole run through.
Should. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually a bigger fan of Parks and Rec than I am of The Office.
Okay. I think my wife is too.
I think there's
and we love The Office.
And I do too. I adore The Office, but I think there's a little more depth to the story and the characters in Parks and Rec than there was in The Office.
Yeah.
So, and Ron Swanson is like my spirit guide. So
yes.
Well, him or Roy Kent from Ted Lasso, either one of them are like my spirit guide. But what's another honorable mention on your list?
Let's see. I'm feeling like we hit most of them. Oh, you know what? I put one more just because of how fun of a couple it was. But I put Amy and Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory, yeah.
Now, there's a lot of great couples in that show that we could have gone with. I love the whole Leonard and Penny, like the pretty girl and the nerd. Like that one definitely hits home. But I went with Amy and Sheldon just because they were just fun to watch. The fact that anyone wound up as his soulmate.
Yeah, I mean, and their dynamic was great as well. I mean, but I mean, I'll be completely honest with you. Of all the couples that are on that show, you mentioned, you mentioned Sheldon and Amy, and you mentioned Penny and Leonard, Wallowitz and Bernadette.
Yeah,
I honestly think we're so much more of a dynamic couple, and because even through like Penny and Leonard and Amy and Sheldon, even though they found love with each other, their characters didn't really change too much. They were still the same people, but just now in relationships with each other. Yeah. But when you look at Howard and Bernadette, Howard's character, like, I mean, you kind of mentioned Uncle Jesse from Full House, how he was a womanizer until, he met her, and then he became a completely different person, and they lasted. Howard's kind of the same thing. Like he was, but he was a womanizer in a perverted stalker sense. Like,
yes,
you look at some of those earlier seasons of Big Bang, and Howard is cringeworthy. But
absolutely.
When he meets Bernadette, he becomes a completely different character. So much for the better. That I honestly don't think if they didn't bring in Bernadette, because she really was only supposed to be one episode.
Yeah.
And then they liked the dynamic, so they kept her on, and she stayed on for the run of the series. Had they not brought her in and put him in that relationship, I don't know if I would have been able to tolerate Howard very long.
I agree. Because you're right, he was kind of a creep.
he was absolutely a creep.
Yeah.
But Amy and Sheldon is another fun one too, because Amy's character definitely matured. Sheldon absolutely matured. And that he allowed more things together, especially like when they started having coitus.
Yes.
you know, when he says I love you to Amy for the first time, it's really adorable. And their wedding officiated by Mark Hamill is fantastic. I know that shows another point of contention for people. Like they feel like they have issues with that show. And some people, their biggest issue with the show is that there's a laugh track and it's not in front of an audience. I'm like, you really don't know how live audiences work.
Yeah.
Like you really don't. Like they did the show in front of a live audience, but yes, they're using a laugh track because that's how it works.
Yeah.
Because they do so many takes that the laugh doesn't sustain. So they record the laughter from a previous take and they play it in the take that they use. It's like, learn the system.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I get it. Learn the system. But yeah, that's another good one for that one. Did you have any more? Because I still have a couple more. But if you don't have any more, I can just go through mine really quick.
I just, we mentioned earlier, we didn't really have a lot of classic people.
Mm-hmm.
And I, thinking it through, my one classic honorable mention, it didn't quite make it onto the list, but it was, I think before we started, I mentioned a little bit, but Rob and Laura from the Dick Van Dyke Show. And that just goes back to, I was a kid raised on Nick at Night. And when the rest of the world was kind of crazy in my real world, there was just this happy couple with a goofy relationship, silly, happy. They were never harsh to their kid. It just, the way they loved each other was awesome. And I just think back fondly of that couple from the Dick Van Dyke Show. But I think that kind of wraps up my honorable mentions.
And that's a good one too, because that made me just think of another one that's not even on my honorable mentions. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, how is it not on my honorable mentions? And it's because, like you said, I didn't really go back to some of the classics. But looking back at some of the classics, the one that stands out the most to me, anybody who knows me understands why, Mork and Mindy.
That is a good one.
I mean, you look like they were a couple. I mean,
yeah,
they were a human and an alien, but they were indeed a couple. I mean, they end up getting married throughout the course of the series. They're living together the entire time. But like, it's such a great, put aside the brilliance of Robin Williams and how funny that show was, but watching this show progress through watching this couple progress through 4 seasons of Mindy teaching Mork the ways of Earth and humanity, but at the same time, Mork teaching Mindy things about like looking at things in a more innocent sense, because that's exactly how he looked at it,
and loosening it up a bit.
Yeah, because he exactly like it taught her to not be so uptight, but she taught him like the ways of humanity, and like it created such a great dynamic of a couple that, like, how could I not put them on my honorable mentions now?
I always loved.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I always loved their, Benjamin Button, their Jonathan Winters' son.
Jonathan Winters.
What was he called? Merv? Was that what he was called?
Oh man, I can't remember. But he was their son.
Yeah,
which
I loved it.
Was brilliant. It wasn't just brilliant in the sense that like it was. You're right. It was Benjamin Button's, and that he was older than Mork. But what I loved even more about that show from a background perspective is Jonathan Winters was Robin's idol. Like he was the one that Robin idolized the same way that Robin is my hero. Jonathan Winters was Robin's. So the fact that he got to play alongside of him that early in his career even was just, that's another reason why I love watching that.
Yeah.
Those later seasons of Mork and Mindy, like seasons 3 and 4, weren't as strong, but they're still funny. The first 2 seasons of that show, though, are hysterical.
They're awesome.
They're absolutely hysterical. Mork's First Christmas is still something I watch every year.
Yeah,
because it's a great, great episode. All right, I'll go through a couple my last honorable mentions then, real quick. I have very quickly. I have Turk and Carla from Scrubs.
Oh, that's good.
Are in my honorable mentions. I have Jess and Nick from New Girl in my honorable mentions. Chidi and Eleanor from The Good Place.
I need to finish that. I stopped watching around end of season 2. I need to finish that show.
Such a great show. I know a lot of people say Ross and Rachel from Friends, but I was a bigger Monica and Chandler fan.
Yeah.
Ross and Rachel were always the will they, won't they, off and on couple that you kind of knew by the end were going to end up together. Ross and Rachel were two people that you never saw coming.
Yeah.
Or not Ross and Rachel, Monica and Chandler.
Yeah.
Monica and Chandler was a couple you never saw coming until it happened. And then once it happened, you rooted for it. And they ended up married, having like adopting 2 kids. And they were a great couple to watch. And I always relate more to Chandler than I do any other couple on that show, just because of my sarcasticness. And I also am somebody, it's a fault where I look for little things in a person that makes me not want to be with them. And exactly what Chandler does, or Chandler did. But yeah, I was a bigger fan of Monica and Chandler than I was of Ross and Rachel.
Nice.
So, and last but not least on mine, this is a little unorthodox, but from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, people are going to assume Buffy and Angel. I went with Buffy and Spike.
Nice.
It was short-lived, but that relationship was one I didn't realize I wanted until it happened.
Yep.
And because I loved Spike and I was a huge fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And Spike, again, name dropping, James Marsters, who played Spike, is also going to be at this event in March that I'm going to get to work with. So I'm really looking forward to working with him as well. But Spike was like a character that I loved from that show. And when the two of them ended up together, I was like, no, that shouldn't wait. It surprisingly works.
Yep.
It brought out like a darker side of Buffy, but I think it was a darker side that kind of at the time of that character really needed to come out in order for her character to kind of progress. So I think that was a relationship that happened at the proper time of that series. And again, it didn't last long, but I loved every second that we got of it.
Yep.
So Buffy and Angel, again, it was like, yes, he's the tall, brooding, handsome vampire with a soul. Of course, like they're Romeo and Juliet. They should end up together. But then along comes Spike. And I'm like, yeah, that's more interesting.
Yeah.
And that's why that Buffy and Spike is in my honorable mentions.
I like it.
So, cool. So we had a lot of people message on and comment on the Facebook page when we put up for feedback, and we got a lot of interesting choices. I haven't read through most of them, so we're going to be hearing them for the first time as we're reading them, as most of you are. But if you don't mind, sir, let's dive into some of this Facebook feedback, and we'll take turns going through. What's the first one?
It looks like we have Keith Bowerman, and he says, and first of all, I can't believe I didn't think of this one, but he says Riker and Troy from Star Trek The Next Generation.
Star Trek The Next Generation.
That is a great couple. I don't know why I didn't even think of that couple.
I didn't include it in the feedback because we couldn't, but when he posted this feedback, this is one of the ones I actually read. When he posted this feedback, he said Riker and Troy, there was more to it. And he said, mainly because of this interaction. And he posted a YouTube video. And the YouTube video was from an episode in Next Generation where Deanna Troy's mother was pursuing Patrick Stewart was pursuing Picard. And she said how anytime her kind pursues a person, their sex drive amps up by like 5 times. And this was at a point where Riker and Troy were just getting together, and Riker was sitting next to her, and the look on his face when he realizes that Deanna's sex drive was also going to ramp up like 5 times, he has this huge smile that comes across in his face. Like, yeah, Riker's going to get it.
That's hilarious.
It's a hilarious interaction. Obviously, I couldn't include it because it's a podcast, but I had to mention that because it was hysterical, and I remember that interaction too, which was great.
Did you know? I cannot think of for some reason the actress's name, but Loaxana Troy, Deanna's mother,
Majel Barrett.
She was the voice of the computer, and wasn't she Gene Roddenberry's wife?
She was the voice of the computer and Gene Roddenberry's wife. Yes, that
was so cool to me.
And she was also from the original series as well.
Yep,
she played a character. I think she was Nurse Chapel in the original series, and she up until recently, even through Deep Space Nine and Voyager, she remained the voice of the computer.
Yep. That's
So
cool.
She has been a very integral part of Star Trek Legacy.
Yep.
So
That's awesome.
Married to Gene Rattenberry. Janine Breaker says Jenny and Greg from All My Children. Robin Laura from Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, nice.
Rhoda and Joe from Rhoda and Tony. Rhoda and Joe from Rhoda. Tony and Jeannie from I Dream of Jeannie. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
And Luke and Laura from General Hospital. That's a go-to.
Yep.
Luke and Laura. But I think I might be wrong. I think they broke them up finally more recently in General Hospital, but they lasted like over 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So they got their time in.
Let's see. Tony Bruno, he's got a couple good ones here. He says Marshall and Lily from How I Met Your Mother made my list.
Yep.
And April and Andy from Parks and Rec. Couple of good choices.
Yeah, made my honorable mentions as well. Brian Seidel. Okay, so I put the same actors on here twice. Lucy and Ricky, obviously from I Love Lucy. David and Maddie from Moonlighting. Marshall and Lily from How I Met Your Mother. Another one. Willow and Tara from Buffy. The Vampire Slayer. That's where he had Allison Halligan in there twice. And Paul and Jamie from Mad About You. Mad About You is a show I never watched.
Same here. My dad did, but I never watched it.
Nice.
Let's see. We have Des Combs, and he says, "Oh, this is a great one. Gomez and Morticia."
Oh my! How can we forget Gomez and Morticia?
God, Mia.
Great TV couple right there.
Yep. Oh, David and Patrick, obviously great.
Nice.
Jack and Kate, that's
Lost.
Yep. And then Wanda and Vision, also great.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yep.
A more recent couple. Paige Allen, David and Patrick from Schitt's Creek are easily my favorite TV couple. Nice, Paige. We share that. Pam and Jim are obvious, but still one of the greatest.
Yep.
Two that made my list.
Let's see. Next, we have Jamie Dimmick, and they say, "Oh, Wash and Zoe from Firefly." That's a great one. We got Randall and Beth. Okay, I lied. I forgot to say Randall and Beth were on my honorable mentions. I just didn't want to put both Jack and Rebecca and Randall and Beth in my list.
Okay, fair enough.
But they're a great couple on This Is Us. Oh, Bert and Ernie.
Bert and Ernie.
Oh,
That's
the
nice.
insinuations here. Veronica and Kevin from Shameless. I need to get into Shameless. I haven't watched that one.
Never got into it either.
David and Patrick, a solid choice always. Amy and Rory, ooh, from Doctor Who.
The Pawns.
That is a great one.
That's a really good one.
Grey Worm and Miss Sandy from Game of Thrones. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, Amy and Rory.
Yeah, man, that's a good one.
Yes. How did I not think of that one either?
The Pawns. Another tragic couple.
Yeah.
You know, in the way that they end, which is just God.
Right.
I think I was bawling, man. I'm pretty sure I was crying during that episode.
Yep. And both are actors that I've had a chance to meet going through the con circuit, so that's awesome.
I've met Karen Gillan before. I'll meet her again in March.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't get the chance to meet oh man, Rory. What's his actual name?
Arthur Darvill.
Arthur Darvill. Yeah, I haven't had the chance to meet Arthur.
Yeah.
Hopefully one day I will.
Super chill guy.
I have met Matt Smith though.
I'm jealous. I need to meet a doctor. Oh well, let me take that back. I need to meet a modern doctor. I've met Sylvester McCoy and Colin Baker, but I need to meet some modern doctors.
Yeah, I met Matt Smith and he was awesome.
That is awesome.
EJ O'Neill, Roslyn and Adama from Battlestar Galactica is the single best answer available. I can't argue because I've never seen Battlestar Galactica.
Here, I need to watch that.
Yep, me too.
Let's see. We've got Kristen Mahone, and they say Ben and Leslie from Parks and Rec. Always a solid choice.
Solid choice. Brandy Bryant says Maggie and Glenn from The Walking Dead. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
I love Lauren Cohan so much.
Yeah.
And Stephen Yeun is just a fantastic actor now. David and Patrick from Schitt's Creek seems to be a popular choice, and I'm loving it.
Yep.
Nathan and Haley from One Tree Hill, never saw. Blair and Chuck from Gossip Girl, another one I never saw. And Callie in Arizona from Grey's Anatomy, another one I never saw.
I have not watched those last three shows either. Let's see. Shad Welch says Sheldon and Amy from Big Bang Theory. Again, they're just a fun couple to watch.
Yeah. I watch them every day. Every day. I shuffle at least one episode of Big Bang.
Yep.
Megan Divy Lehman, two standouts from Lost. I forgot Desmond and Penny.
Yeah.
Damn it. They're up there with Jin and Sun for me too. So much impact from so few scenes, chemistry off the charts, a love story that transcended distance and time. Man, I'm so disappointed. I forgot Desmond and Penny. But she also says Juliet and Sawyer, they transformed each other into their best selves. Dharma Village spaghetti night forever.
Right.
Nice. Yeah, Juliet and Sawyer were just, man, that couple was so good.
Right.
So, yeah, good ones.
Let's see. Jennifer Kennedy says Bones and Booth. I need to watch Bones. I haven't watched Bones.
Me neither.
Let's see. Jon Snow and Egret. Yeah, I like that. Joey and Pacey from Dawson's Creek. Buffy and Angel. All good choices.
Yeah. Again, I prefer Buffy and Spike, but
yeah,
Angel's good.
It makes sense. It's a good choice.
Damien Vitale from Beverly Hills 90210. Brandon and Kelly. Donna and David. From Star Trek: The Next Generation, Riker and Troy. There's another one for Riker and Troy.
Nice.
Family Ties, Alex and Ellen. Mad About You, Paul and Jamie. And The Walking Dead, Maggie and Glenn. So another one for Maggie and Glenn.
Yep. Then we have Alicia Anderson. She says Nathan and Haley from One Tree Hill. Corey and Topanga from Boy Meets World, obviously. Shane and Carmen from The L Word. Dean and Lisa from Supernatural. Marshall and Lily from How I Met Your Mother, and then a bonus, Dre and Bo from Blackish. I love Blackish. Why did I read it that way?
I haven't watched it yet. I hear it's good.
It's really good, and I love the spinoff Mixed-ish. I love it.
Yeah, I hear good things about both shows. Just haven't seen them. And then finally, we have from Dave Butler. He says Monica and Chandler from Friends, and Sheldon and Amy from Big Bang Theory.
That's awesome. Thinking of Mixed-ish, the dad is Mark Paul Gosselaar, who is Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell.
Zach and Kelly.
And, I was going to say Zach and Kelly was one of the first couples that entered my mind, but that was a toxic relationship.
It really was.
Didn't include it in my list.
What's the ongoing thing? It's like Zach Morris is an asshole.
Oh, it's like
something.
Zach Morris is trash or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And they're hysterical.
The guy that made that YouTube series co-hosts a podcast with Mark Paul Gosselaar about Saved by the Bell, and it's amazing.
That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, Zach Morris and Kelly Kapowski is a well-known couple, but yeah, you're right. Like, the older you get, the more you realize that is a horrible relationship.
Oh, manipulative and bad. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a horrible relationship. It was an atypical high school relationship.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yes.
So, thank you so much for the awesome feedback from everybody. That was great. We're getting more and more feedback every week, and I love it. And keep that feedback coming. In fact, for next episode of Wilhelm, with the Winter Olympics in full swing right now, no better time than to make that the next topic. So next episode of Wilhelm, we're going to be diving into top 5 favorite films centered around the Olympic Games. So Summer Olympics, Winter Olympics, doesn't matter what it is. If it's a movie centered around the Olympics, it can be part of your top 5. That next episode drops in 2 weeks, Friday, February 25th. But as always, keep your ears peeled. There might be a bonus episode in there between now and then of a conversation with a celebrity or a review of a film that's recently released. They're always going to be falling into the mix in between episodes. So keep an eye on your feed. Those episodes can pop up anytime they happen. And next episode, the one that drops on February 25th, will be the last episode before Wilhelm moves exclusively to the other feed, the former home of the Spotlight podcast. So if you subscribe to the Spotlight and you're hearing this podcast on that feed, you are fine. You don't have to do anything. But if you are subscribed to Wilhelm on Wilhelm's feed and you want to continue listening to Wilhelm, which I hope you do, check the show notes. There's a link to the other feed. Make sure you subscribe to that other feed before March 1st, because after March 1st, every episode, bonus or whatnot, will be appearing on that feed going forward. Tell me what's going on with Infinite Taylorverse. You've got a lot going on. now's your time. What do you got happening on your end?
Yeah, so Infinite Taylorverse Podcast. The name seems a little self-serving, but it's deeper than that. My last name is Taylor, and my co-host Taylor's first name is Taylor. So we are the Taylorverse, and we called it the Infinite Taylorverse because we talk about all things pop culture and nostalgia: movies, TV, books, comics, video games, collectibles, you name it. The discussion topics are infinite. But makes sense to me. Yeah, we have been doing this for about a solid year now. As we are recording this right now, our latest episode dropped today, and next week will be our 52nd episode, and we've done it weekly for a solid year now, and it's just been so much fun to watch the listenership grow, meet people in the community. Kansas City has a pretty awesome kind of nerd community, and it's been cool doing things. And there's been a few like mini conventions that we've been a part of, doing kind of the media, interviewing people, which the focus of our show is just, hey, what's new this week in the nerd world? What show came out? What movie came out? Here's our take. Here's all the cool rumors that may never happen, but wouldn't it be cool if they did? That kind of stuff. But every now and again, we've had the chance to, at these conventions and things, we've interviewed some actual DC and Marvel and IDW and Dark Horse comic book authors and artists. And we've interviewed a couple celebrities. Like they're so obscure and random, but they meant a lot to us. Like as a child, my favorite TV show was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And we got to interview the woman who was in the suit of Alpha 5 throughout the original series. So that was kind of cool. Shout out to Sandy Selner. She's amazing. But yeah, typically we're the nerd news guys. And I always tell people, if you decide to jump on and start listening, definitely don't rewind all the way back to episode 1 because the topics were relevant 52 weeks ago. Yeah. So if you decide, hey, I might give these guys a listen, hop on the more recent ones and we'll be talking about more relevant things. Like right now, the movies that are out, and the shows, we got the Book of Boba Fett and Peacemaker and all these other things. And
Peacemaker is so good.
Yes, it's amazing. Definitely NSFW. Now, the show Peacemaker, having said that, our show, I'm a high school teacher and I know my students and my bosses have checked this thing out. So we keep it very SFW. It's a very PG show. But
I should have thought of that too when I cursed earlier on this episode. So
hey, no worries.
If for any reason any of your students happen to listen to this episode or their parents listen to this episode, I apologize.
No worries. No worries. That was Ben, not me, you guys. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. But yeah, it's just been a fun year. Like my friend and I started this, my best friend, Taylor, when the whole pandemic started, and we both live about 45 minutes away. We would get together once a week with our wives, and he's a new dad and I've got 4 kids. And so that kind of slows things down a bit. But when the pandemic hit and we don't live super close to each other, and it's not just down the street, we were like, how could we still sort of hang out and talk about all this nerd stuff? So we, just like you and I are doing right now, hopped on Zoom and started recording the conversations. And then bada boom, we have a podcast. And 52 weeks later, here we are. And it's been a lot of fun. But if you're in, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's awesome. And congratulations on that 1-year milestone.
Thank you. I know a lot of people told us like, maybe it'll get tedious. Maybe it'll get hard because there's definitely moments when like editing takes some time and all this good stuff, but we've pushed through and it's just been a blast. Like we can't imagine not doing it at this point. But yeah, if you're interested in listening to us, that is the Infinite Taylorverse Podcast. We are on all the places you can get podcasts, but definitely, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on social media, just search for the Infinite Taylorverse. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. You mentioned earlier my TikToks. My personal TikTok is at Mr. BCT3, MRBCT3. That has grown. I can't believe how many followers and likes, and it's kind of crazy. My students at school, it blows their minds even more than it blows mine. They're like, "What? How do you have more followers than me?" It's kind of funny, but I get on there and make goofy videos. It's either nerd stuff, fatherhood / husband stuff, or teaching stuff. But if that's your jam, you can probably go on there and get a laugh out of it.
I follow you on TikTok, and I don't do much on TikTok. All I really do is follow people. I've never posted once on TikTok. I might eventually. I don't know. But as of right now, I follow people. You are one of the people I follow, and I love the stuff that you put out on TikTok. It's so much fun.
Thanks. But yeah, that's us.
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, like, congratulations on that 1 year milestone. It's a huge hump for any beginning podcaster to achieve.
Yeah.
It really is. And then the more you keep doing it, occasionally podcasting can become tedious, but if you love doing it,
yeah,
you still continue with it. I've been podcasting for 8 years.
Yep.
So I've done different iterations of shows, and now again I have 2 podcasts. That one that I've been doing for 8 years is now merging into this one that I've only been doing for about 8 months now, but they're related to each other. So I figured, like, why would I not put them together?
Yep.
So it just means bigger things for this podcast. It means bigger things for both of them, really. Yep. So, that's what I'm doing. But yeah, huge milestone 1 year, and congratulations on that.
Thank you. And it's funny, I mentally give some credit to your former DC Primetime podcast, because way back in the day when I was just a podcast listener, that was a random search in the Apple podcast. I typed in DCCW and you guys came up, and instantly you guys became the friends that I didn't talk to, but I listened to every day. And it just, that dynamic put in my head, like, I could probably do this with my friend. And eventually, years later, we did. And so anything that comes out of us, I give that a little bit of credit to the DC Primetime podcast.
I appreciate that. And Rob and I talk about that occasionally too. Like, we miss doing that podcast, but the subject material that we talk about every week has really suffered. So we really don't know if we would have been able to continue. We honestly think that it was a running joke that we got out of that podcast when we did.
Yep.
Because for anybody that doesn't know, we talked about all the DC television shows, and about a year or two before they did their massive Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover, I jokingly said, if they ever do Crisis on Infinite Earths, well, that's the time to wrap the show. And then a year later, they announced that they were doing Crisis on Infinite Earths, and we were like, well, crap. I don't know. And then the more we thought about it, we were like, maybe it actually is the time to wrap up the show.
Yep.
And we did. After that Crisis on Infinite Earths, we did one more episode, which was our final wrap. And then we wrapped the podcast for good. And man, Rob and I joke constantly. We're like, boy, did we get out of that podcast at the right time. Because those shows have gone downhill since Crisis.
Can you imagine if Superman and Lois premiered the next week? Would you still be doing it?
Oh, we'd still be doing that podcast.
That's what I thought.
Even if Rob didn't, I would still be doing that podcast to talk about Superman and Lois every week.
Yep.
Because that show, again, is so damn good.
Timing is just everything, isn't it?
Yeah. But we got out of that podcast at the right time, and we've had a number of people that we've become friends with, like whether it's social media friends or whatever, like yourself or Shad Welch, who left feedback for this podcast. He was a listener of DC Primetime, and we've become friends. It's amazing how close knit of a world it really becomes.
Absolutely.
I have a bunch of people who are fellow podcasters that I'm friends with, and we do. There's my friend Jason is a podcaster and a fellow panel moderator, and he's been on this podcast a number of times, and like he has a little network of people who are in a group together on Facebook who are listeners of his podcasts, and I've been on his podcast, and we've had group meetups. Like, we went to Hershey back in October, where like 25 people from around the country, we all got together in Hershey and spent 4 days in Hershey together, and went to Hershey Park and like a bunch of different places. And like, it's amazing, like how close knit of a world podcasting really is. Even though there's so many podcasts out there, it really is a small world. And, that's one of the things I love about it. So on that note, I mentioned the feedback, and I appreciate all the great feedback. I want you to keep it coming. The next episode, Winter Olympics, as I mentioned, I want you to leave feedback for me as there as well. Let me know what some of your favorite Olympic movies are. There are multiple ways you can do that. First, we're on Facebook.com/The Wilhelm Podcast. In a couple days, you'll see a post pop up and you can comment on that post. I'm on Instagram @The Wilhelm Podcast, or you can always email me directly, thewilhelmpodcast@gmail.com. Send me an email or record yourself in a voicemail and send it to me that way, and we'll play it on the podcast as part of the feedback. Lastly, if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave a review for me on Apple Podcasts or whatever platform you may be listening on if they allow you to do so. And just again, the reminder, starting March 1st, everything moves over to the new feedback. The Wilhelm Patreon account is still in development. Hopefully that will be launching March 1st when the podcast moves over. Working on some really cool stuff to offer with that in return for you helping to support the show. But I think I covered everything. Billy, thank you for doing this again. And I'm sure you'll be back on.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that Back to the Future episode.
It's coming. It's coming. There's a lot of great stuff in the works. I mean, again, this podcast moved to every other week.
Yeah.
So it means we're not getting to topics as quickly as we were before, but it gives me and whoever my host is every episode more time to prep. And now adding television into the mix, there's so many more topics now. I will never run out of topics for this podcast.
Dare I say they're infinite.
They are infinite. And I will say to anybody, I was so excited, and I had a number of people message me, and it made me so happy that people understand why I called this podcast Wilhelm, because of the Wilhelm scream being a part of movies and television. It's so many people message me, hey, did you hear that? Did you hear what happened in the Book of Boba Fett season finale?
I knew you were going to say that.
I was like, yes, I heard that Wilhelm scream. Of course I did. But Wilhelm incorporates into television as well. So why would we not bring television into the podcast?
Yep.
So,
well, hey, thanks for having me on, man. And I'll have to have you back over into the Taylorverse soon.
Anytime, man. You let me know when you want me to come back, and I will. I'm there.
Awesome.
So, but to all of you listening, thank you so much for the great support. Thank you for the feedback you've left before and on all the encouragement you have. But until next time, we'll see you on the next episode of Wilhelm. Take care.